Do you ever find yourself working on a project that it starts off really exciting, but then you think, wait, what have I done to myself? Why am I putting myself through this again? And it's not that you don't want the results if you follow through on this project. It's just that the process itself is rocky. And the last time you felt this way, you told yourself you weren't going to do it again. That's how I am feeling right now. And this week, honestly, feels particularly difficult. So today, I'm going to share why I feel like a broken record, what this current struggle is, and also what I am doing about it, because I'm not just sitting idle and poor me. I am taking action, but I'm also trying to acknowledge the struggle when I'm experiencing it. Oh, and if you are new here, welcome. I'm Kat, and on this podcast, I'm sharing behind the scenes as I try real time experiments to help me to follow through on what matters and find momentum as a speaker and a writer. So today, I want to talk about the launch. So I am currently working on a launch for a workshop. It's called Immunity to Change. And it's a workshop that I decided about a month ago I was going to do this because earlier in the summer, in June, I actually ran an in-person version in Boise, Idaho, with as part of a 2-day event hosted by Jay Klaus. So I ran it with that group, about 40 people, and honestly, I remembered how powerful that workshop is in the room. People were coming up to me talking about the breakthroughs that they had, the things that they learned, the insights they were gaining that they did not expect. And it just, I mean, one, it was an incredible experience to watch that happen with the people in the room. And it made me want to make this accessible to more people and put it out there. So I decided I would run my own version and then I would put it out there. And hopefully, based on the work I've been discussing, folks would join it. So that's the whole the whole thinking, right? And this is where I started a familiar, I'm going to break it into 10 phases of the roller coaster. So, phase one is I get the idea. I'm going to do this. This is a great idea. I love it. Phase two is when I just kind of lock in. And this is where I feel like I have got this. I set up a project in Notion. I've got everything ready. I'll pick the date. I'll set everything around like this is when it's happening. And I've got a real vision. I feel really locked in and excited. Phase three is the, oh, wow, this is a this is a lot of work to get done for this live event. And I know I can do it, but I'm starting to feel squeezed, starting to feel the time pressure. And taking care of regular responsibility feels like a lot on top of planning, coordinating to run the live event. Phase four is when I actually send the first email of this is live. I put it out in the world. I give myself kind of a self high five and I'm like, whoo, it is out there. Which then leads to phase five, which is where I watch my inbox like a hawk and it's initially crickets. And this happens every time because also obviously people aren't going to click the first minute and then buy. And this always happens, which leads to phase six called crippling doubt and just what have I done to myself? So this is actually kind of this one lingers even when we get to phase seven, which is getting my first sale where somebody affirms, yes, this was not a complete waste of time. And then phase eight is just, I would call minor relief, but not enough for phase nine, which is me just declaring that I will never do this to myself again because the stress of watching my inbox and wondering if anyone is ever going to join the thing I'm doing. And then phase 10, I repeat it again because later in the future, I forget what it was like when I've got that great idea and I feel really locked in. It's like this time will be completely different. Now, what has happened when I think about this whole roller coaster, which I've experienced many, many times over, and I've sworn off many times over. That's why I feel like a broken record. Is the number of times I have said, I don't think I should put myself through this. I'm not sure that the way I'm built is cut out for this type of work where I'm kind of on tenterhooks and just wondering, is this going to work at all? And I watch the inbox and I'm just constantly kind of scanning I am always thinking about, okay, what can I do next and what should I be doing? So it's just, it's not a healthy thing. The other piece is that I have this pattern every single time I run any kind of workshop, program, or offer a course or something. I do have real hesitations, and this is sort of ironic because these hesitations they come from fear. It is absolutely a psychological roadblock. Logical, knowing what to do. I know what to do. Biological, I actually do, that's the accountability, preparing for a live workshop helps. But psychologically, anytime I am promoting something that I am running myself, I hesitate to share it widely. I have a fear that I am going to be really annoying. I've talked about this before on the podcast where I feel like I'm a burden. I feel like people want to tune me out. And really, in reality, I think I'm annoying people. And I've sent one email and I've got one post on social media, currently Instagram, and one story. The actual number of people who currently know it's happening just from those things where I already feel like, oof, that's a lot. It's not even remotely close. So there are very few people who actually know what's going on. So what I'm trying to do is take my own advice. So this is what I am doing. One, I do talk about when I'm struggling. So I will share with, friends and colleagues and my partner about what I'm feeling and why I'm struggling and how it feels. I also journal to just talk about this because it's just true ups and downs. It is part of being self-employed, and maybe unless you're a psychopath, that you are going to have moments of self-doubt and wondering, should I just go get a job? But in order to overcome some of those, I also know it's important to take small actions that feel sort of safe. They're safe tests where you can push back against some of these fears that you have. I also want to ask myself, what would I do if I were fearless? And I like to think about other people who just don't hesitate. They have something that they're offering, and they realize if they don't get the word out there are people who could benefit that are not hearing about it. So it's in a way, it's a disservice. I also have to remind myself, and this is what I'm actively doing, and I'm saying it out loud here, that I truly believe in what I'm doing. I know, and I have seen the impact in the room. I've heard from others after the fact. And I also have experienced this myself. I know how powerful it is to do this work. And in case anyone is thinking, okay, but I have no idea what you're talking about. The work itself, this is what I encourage people to do. The Immunity to Change process is the framework. It's by other people, and I've been teaching it since 2012. And it is one that helps you to overcome psychological roadblocks. So I was talking about logical, biological, and psychological. If you have a psychological roadblock, I recommend Immunity to Change because it asks questions in a very deliberate 4-step way where you do uncover things you weren't expecting. The other thing that's ironic about it is telling people, hey, do you want to come to a workshop and do some sort of difficult work to uncover things that you might not want to learn about yourself? People hesitate to actually sign up for that, even if they need it. And so that's also a reminder that I have to address some of those concerns that people might have. So those are sort of a lot of the psychological things, but I am trying to also support my brain. So one of the things I am doing, oh, and I don't think I said this yet, but in addition to emailing my list, publishing at least a post or two, and more are coming, I'll talk about that soon. But I am reaching out to people. I am just one-on-one telling people in my network, especially people who've been through it before. So people who attended the June workshop recently and have told me how powerful it was, I'm letting them know, hey, I'm doing a virtual version. This is when it's happening. If there are people you know and you're willing to share, amazing. And so I've been doing some outreach. And to help me keep that going, because that does make me uncomfortable, I've got my 2-jar system. And this is where I have, so in this hand is the ones that I still haven't reached out to yet. And this hand, I have actually done these outreaches. If you if you're listening, you might hear the jingle. That's because it's just marbles and mason jars. And this is on my desk, so I can every time I reach out to someone on my list, they go from one to the other. And it's helping my brain to see a visual cue of keep reaching out. And I did go before and count. Okay, I started just with an actual list of people, but then I took as many marbles as possible and I've been moving them over. And also knowing that I was going to report in and talk about this today, I actually did a bunch of outreach this morning. I also knew I was going to count that outreach in my tracker. So, all this to say, the other thing that I'm doing, and is aside from the experiments and the using the marbles to count my progress, I'm also just trying to be kind to myself because it's very common for me in times like this that I feel really behind and I do a lot of should. I should all over myself of you should be posting first thing in the morning and not later in the day. And you should have all of your emails about this workshop ready in advance. And you should have already drafted and edited them. And ultimately, I just need to remember just do the next thing as soon as you can, because I have been burned before. And when I say burned before, I mean I have just been way too hard on myself, expected way too much. And I've just tipped so far over that it just kind of burnt out. And I ended up just collapsing into a heap, and that's no good. So I am trying to be kind, but find the balance. How do I show up consistently, take this seriously, get outside the comfort zone or my comfort zone, but also don't cause myself harm? So don't get into a position where I'm just a puddle. And that's what I'm doing actively right now as I go through this live workshop. I think just another thing I need to remember is it's different when you're on the promotional end. Like I'm the one who is promoting this to people who could be a good fit. And the way you actually buy, like they're two different versions. When I'm promoting something, I think, oh my goodness, if nobody's signed up in the first day, then nobody wants to come. But then I think of myself as a consumer. And when I buy things, attend workshops, register for things, I almost never register on the first day. I will go to it. I'll be like, oh, that looks good. I'll come back to that email later. And then I go about my day. And usually I end up signing up a lot later. Not always the last, I'm not always the last day person, but it's definitely something I do. And it also helps to remember that. So those are all the things that's happening. So now let's actually go over to my tracker and see how things are going. And we're almost done the month. So at the end of the month, at the end of, I guess that's Monday, I think is the end of the month, I will complete the tracker and I can update how the month of August went on the next podcast. So let's take a look at the tracker here. So I've got for posting progress, haven't reached my goal, but I have gotten a little better. So my goal was 20 posts, and right now I have 12. That being said, I know I will be posting more this week. I've actually got a couple that are already in the can, so to speak, that are ready. I've made a few visuals that I'm going to post. For outreach, we're at 31 out of 40. They're not all speaking related because I am counting some of the outreach to promote this workshop. But I also know that this workshop can be something that, maybe someone knows about it and says, actually, I know a good place that you could run this workshop. So it could also lead to speaking opportunities. So I'm gonna let that go. And so that's 31 out of 40. So I'm at 77%. The appearances. So last Thursday, I did a collaboration with Senja, my testimonial software. So that was on Thursday. So I've got 3 appearances for the month of actually, this is 4 now. Yesterday, a podcast dropped that I was featured on. So 4 appearances, and that's 4 for the month. And then booked speaking gigs has not changed yet. And so I've got 4 appearances, 3 speaking gigs, and then my outcome tracker. So this is where we're just going over audience members. So when we add on last week with the webinar, it's up to 33 for the month. So these are small groups that I'm talking to, but I actually really like being able to answer individual questions when I'm on a workshop with a smaller group. And then subscribers for the month of August is now at 66. I did not plan this, but my total count of audience members plus subscribers for the month is currently 99. And these nice little round numbers are very appealing to my brain, but that is not something that I planned. That's actually just how it worked out. So that's my progress on my goal. But one of the questions I do have for you this week, and I whether you leave comments in the on the YouTube app or just message me back, send a DM, I do genuinely want to hear tips, tricks, or even if there's quotes or things that help you, genuinely help you in those moments where you are questioning, why on earth have I done this to myself again? How do I stick with it? And remember that even when it feels hard, and even if what you were expecting doesn't happen either right away or maybe at all, how do you keep that self-talk? And because I'm doing things, I'm taking action, but this is hard work, and it is something that I personally find difficult. I know not everyone has the same thing, but promoting my own workshops and offers is something that doesn't come naturally to me. I mean, it does make me nervous. So anything you've got, I would love to hear it. And it does also, just from a bigger question, make me reflect on, okay, what's the balance of doing this? Like, I don't, I know that it's silly to just swear off ever running my own things again, but maybe there I can explore other ways of teaching and running the workshops, the things that really light me up and that I feel I'm good at, but not depending 100% on a one person business to be responsible for all of it. Maybe there are ways I can do collaborations, work with others, etc. So it's on my mind. But mostly anything that helps you get through this, I would love to hear it. And I'll keep you posted on how it goes as I continue to share my experiment of how I am following through and finding my momentum as a speaker and writer.